Hi, this is Lux, and I'm going to do a tutorial slash overview of Regroover Essential by Accusonus. I was really impressed by it. It was something that I noticed being brought up in the forums. There's a lot of confusion as to what it was for, and if it's something they can already do using their current software. And I began to play with it and realized that it's pretty dang powerful, and it will definitely open up a whole new world if you have a large amount of loop libraries. And this is not just for drums, I found. This software will definitely make a big difference in helping you be creative or extracting really cool elements from your loops. So let's get started. As you can see, I have Regroover Essential open, and it's kind of prompting me to drag a clip. So I've got one. I've just got a basic loop here. And I think I need to play it for you before I play it through Regroover. Let me just open it up here and let you hear it. All right, that was the loop. And I've loaded it here in Regroover, and let's hit the preview button here at the top and listen to it. Now, granted, I have my tempo set at 120. The loop tempo is at 110. So this loop will play at the 120 tempo that I have set. If I were to change my tempo, so let's do that here and change it to something like 110, I'm going to have to reprocess. And I do that by hitting the sync button. Once I hit that, it reanalyzes it to the tempo I have set. So this is not dynamic, meaning if you have tempo changes throughout your project, Regroover will not follow that. It has to reanalyze it depending on the tempo, which is fine. Makes sense. So now that I have 110 tempo set here, I can hit the preview button and we'll listen to the loop. Okay, but what you've seen here is that Regroover has split this audio into 4 layers. And we can solo those layers and hear what Regroover has extracted from them. So let's do that by hitting the solo button and hit preview. Layer 2. Layer 3. And layer 4. Okay, right off the bat, I think that's incredibly cool. You can already hear the potential. So what they've done here is they have put a pan and a volume and the ability to turn that from stereo to mono. So let's think about the bass drum, for example. So if I hit this button here, I can put that in mono. Let's unsolo. We've got some cymbals here that I might want to pull off to the left a little bit. And we've got some here that I might want to pull off to the right. So in its simplest form, I can do that. I think that's pretty cool. But there's so much more that can be done. If you can see off to the right, we have an EQ that can be used to alter the sound of the specific layer that's selected. In this case, we have layer 2 selected, and I could solo this. Oops, excuse me, hit preview. Let's raise the gain on the kick drum. Okay. If we find that this might be a little too brittle, we can then lower the gain on the higher frequencies and maybe boost some in the mid. Okay, so that's a good example of how you can use Regroover in its simplest form. But let's spend a little more time now and do something a little more complex. There is one thing I looked over before I get into the next part of this overview, And that is, there is a MIDI element to this too, a performance element. If you look at the layers, you'll see C3, C sharp 3, D3, D sharp 3, E3, and F3. Those are notes, of course, and the layers are assigned to those notes. So in the loop we've been using, let's press C3 and see what happens. And it's pretty clear. You can hear that I'm playing layer 1. If I hit C sharp 3, I'm playing layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4. Now if I were to press all 4 of these keys simultaneously, this is what you get. There's a little bit of phasing actually because I don't think I pressed all 4 at the exact same amount. Let me try again. That's better. Which is the same as the preview button. So in theory, I could hit C3, then bring in layer 3, now layer 2. Maybe let me try this again. Okay. Then finally layer 4. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, I think. One suggestion I do have to the Accusonus team is the note that you see here, C3, C3 sharp, D3, D3 sharp, E3, and F3. It would be great if those lit up. So when I'm hitting, for example, C3, you could actually see some feedback on that track. Otherwise, awesome. I think this is really cool. All right. At the top of each layer, you're going to notice these loop markers. And what that's for is strictly during the performance side of this, by pressing the C3, it will now play what's within these loop marker, left and right loop markers. This has nothing to do with the preview button. So if I hit preview, it's still going to play all 4 layers from far left to far right. But if I hit C3, it's only going to play what's within this loop markers here. So let me do that. And I could do the same with layer 2. I don't think there's snapping. That would be kind of nice to have because I am kind of guessing here. So layer 2. Now if I hit layer 3's kick drum, which I have not put loop markers on, let's see what happens here. Now I'm going to play layer 2. Maybe a little polyrhythm going on there. Let's try the kick drum layer 3 with layer 1. Now layer 2. Not bad. There's a lot of potential there. And again, we're just playing with essentially a random loop I pulled off a hard drive. So imagine if you've got thousands and thousands of them, which many people do, this does open up a whole new world for those loops. But I don't think you've seen anything yet. I'm going to get into the cool part coming up. All right. In Regroover, we've been working solely within the Regroover application, meaning we've been working with each layer 1 through 4. We've been using the pan. We can turn it from stereo to mono. We've been soloing. But what if we want to actually map or route these layers to tracks in our DAW? In Reaper, they've made it really easy. And I can't speak to your other DAWs, but I'm sure there are ways to do it. Some are going to be more complicated than others, but I highly recommend that you figure it out because this is where Regroover really shines. All right, in Reaper, I'm going to open up and you'll see the VST-I off to the side here. I'm going to right click and go to Build Multi-Channel Routing for output of selected effects. Now in Reaper, you can see off to the right here, I have 32 channels. By doing so, building multi-channel routing, Reaper is going to automatically put 16 channels and route audio to those 16 channels. Now, we don't need all of those. And I'm sure there's a way for me to just simply choose the 6 channels I need that represent the 6 layers within Regroover, but I don't know how, so I'm not going to bore you with me trying to figure it out. Okay, so let's build the multi-channel routing. I'm going to say yes. And now I have 16 channels, of which I need 6 of them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Everyone below that, I'm just going to delete. There we go. Now, you'll see in Regroover, we have output selectors down below, and here are the 16 outputs. We only need to use 6 of them in this case. So I'm going to go to output 2, output 3, and output 4. Now I see why Reaper wanted to create 16 channels is because there's 16 outs in Regroover. So if I, for whatever reason, needed to get creative with my outputs, I have 16 there to play with. I get it now. I'm slow. All right. So when I hit preview, we're going to see the audio is routed to the 4 tracks to the left. Looks like our kick drum's a little too hot. Obviously, there's nothing on layer 5 and layer 6, so we won't have anything showing up here. Now that Regroover's outputs are connected to the tracks on the left, we have a lot of additional possibilities. I think you've figured that out. We can process these channels independently with effects and kind of go crazy. So let me solo the hi-hats of this loop. We turn on a delay that I put here earlier, or not. I think I just zapped it. Let me do that again. And let me just turn the mix down a little. Just a little bit of motion. And let's put it back in context. All right, I think you get the idea. All right, so one of the things I noticed is that Regroover not only shines in the beat category, and as you saw, I just really grabbed one out of a library and messed with it. So there's a lot of things you can do, but also with sequenced or arpeggiated loops, I think this, at least for me, is where we really see Regroover's potential. So let me just pull an ARP in that I found, and it's going to analyze it. I forget what tempo it is. It's 122. So let me bring it over into the 120 world that I have set up. We'll hit sync again. All right. Now, once it's through analyzing, let's just sample the segments. In this case, I am using my MIDI keyboard, so I will press C3. We'll listen to layer 1. Okay. Layer 2. Layer 3. And layer 4. Okay, let's preview them all together. So in this example, I'm not going to split it up into different tracks within a Reaper, because I think we can do a lot just with what is within Regroover. So let's just, again, listen to the layer 1, which is real bassy. So I'm going to make that mono and maybe pull down the gain a little bit on some of the lower frequencies. All right. Okay, layer 2. Let's have some fun with this and pan it hard left. All right, now we'll go to layer 3 and layer 4. Okay, layer 3, let's pan hard right. Okay, so layer 2 and 3 together. And since I haven't panned hard left and hard right, there's no reason they need to be in stereo. So let's let's mono those out and we'll get a little more out of them. Let's do it. All right, let's hit preview and hear it all together. Okay, let's see here. Let's listen to the layer 3 again. That's all hard right. Let's boost some highs. If there are any up there to boost, let's try mids instead. Here we go. And we'll turn the volume down a little. All right, together again. All right, another great example of what you can do with a arpeggiated synchronized loop or sequence loop. Let's move on to the grand finale, and let me show you what we can do with another arpeggiated loop. Okay, we're back, and what you can see here is I have something a little more complex happening. Let me let you hear the original loop. It's just a sequence loop. Okay, you got the idea. What I did is I let Regroover split that into 6 layers. I probably should have done 5, but because you can see layer 5 has just a little bit of information that I actually turned the volume all the way down on. It was just not worth having. Now, like again, I should have just turned layer to 5 and hit split. I'm not going to do that here because I have some things set up and it would mess it up just a little bit. So, all right. So what I've done here is I thought I'd share with you how you can split this loop, which I have done. And I've added some effects to certain channels. So yes, there are a lot of artifacts that you can hear, especially when you have something split like this into 6 layers. Yet it doesn't bother me as much, and you'll hear why. Some it will, and I get it. You have a lot of loops. It's going to work with some. It won't work with others. But here's an example of how it could. Again, with just a loop that I chose and didn't spend a lot of time doing so. So let's see what happens if I hit C3 layer 1. All right, kind of nasty. I get it. Now with Echo Boy on, it's getting better. So let's listen to layer 2. Now, what's interesting about that is I was able to EQ this a little bit using the effects off to the side. That gave me a little more bass. So if I play the two together now. All right. So let's play a drum loop, and then I'll play those two notes, and I think you'll begin to understand where I'm getting at. All right. So that's, yeah, pretty cool. I increased the volume on the bass layer 2 track a little bit. Now let's listen to layer 3. Now what I did is add a little bit of reverb to the third channel, or the third layer. So playing 1, 2, and 3 together now. All right, so let's do that with the drum loop. And I'll bring them in one at a time. Right, so you can understand how all the potential I think we have with assigning these two tracks in your DAW and then adding appropriate effects and having fun with it. So we'll continue on. This time I'm going to bring in layer 4 and then finally layer 6, which sounds like this. I think I added a little vintage verb, and I actually put a gate on that to get some of the artifacts out that were kind of showing up in between the main larger or louder notes. Okay, so let's make this our final goodbye. Thanks for watching.